everybody, this is video number 34 and this is going to be about using the periodic table. Be sure you have one in front of you while you're watching the video. Alright, I'm going to go through a bunch of different things that you can find using the periodic table for every element. So the first one we're going to do is you can find out the element's state of matter at room temperature by using a periodic table. Now, if you are using the one from your book, you're going to use actually the color of the element's letters. Now, sometimes, if you're not using the one from the book, sometimes they have actually little symbols like a dot for a liquid, or they might have a balloon for a gas. So whatever it is, find the legend on your periodic table that talks about state of matter. So I would like you, whatever periodic table you're using, to try to find the state of matter for these 6 elements. So oxygen, carbon, hydrogen, iron, nitrogen, and mercury. So go ahead and put me on pause, and I want you to see if you can go find it. How did you do? So the answers were oxygen gas, carbon is a solid, hydrogen is a gas, iron is a solid, nitrogen is a gas, and mercury is a liquid. Next thing I'm going to teach you how to find is the group number, and I want you to get used to putting those two words together, group number. Now, what's the big deal about a group number? Well, they share very similar chemical properties, everybody that has that same group number, because they all have the same number of valence electrons. Now, don't get too worried if you don't remember that those valence electrons are on the outermost layer or the outermost shell. I'm going to give you a whole video on how to do that. Another word for a column. There are 18 groups or 18 columns on the periodic table, and the number on top of the column, and if you're using your periodic table from your book, number is in blue on your book, not in black. The periodic table I have in front of me, it's black. So just find out what it is, but make sure it goes from 1 to 8. I'd like you to find the group number for these 6 elements, and they are oxygen, carbon, hydrogen, iron, nitrogen, and this time we're going to do arsenic. How did you do? Did you figure it out? So oxygen is 16, carbon is 14, hydrogen is 1, iron is 8, nitrogen is 15, and arsenic is 15 as well. The next thing I want to teach you how to do is to find the element's family. Now, family is a name, it's not a number. Some people will mix up group and family. Now, why do you need to know a family? Well, similar to group, they share very similar chemical properties. So if you know what group they're in or what family they're in, you can actually predict what their chemical reactivity is going to be. So family is named for the first element in every column. There are 18 families, so very similar to a group. And it's not a number, it's a name. So for example, if you look at lithium, which is Li, if you find that in the periodic table, you go to the top of the row. The first element in that row is hydrogen, so you would say lithium is in the hydrogen family. Alright, so I've got 5 for you to try for this one. So you've got oxygen, calcium, gallium, iodine, and krypton. So go ahead, put me on pause, go find them. Did you figure out oxygen is in the oxygen family? And that's actually how you would report that out. Sounds a little weird, but that's the correct way. Calcium is in the beryllium family. Gallium is in the boron family. Iodine is in the fluorine family. And krypton is in the helium family. I hope you guys are doing well. So now that we talked about columns and we talked about groups and families, now of course we're going to talk about the row. So these are actually called periods. Periods are a row and they are reported out as a number. Now what do elements that are all in the same row or the same period have in common? Well, they all have a very similar amount of volume or space that they take up, or they all have a very similar number of orbitals, or those number, that electron cloud, they all have a similar amount of space there. So we said periods is a fancy term for saying that it's a row. There are a total of 7 on the periodic table, and you count from the top. So I'd like you to look at my picture that I have here and see how red on the left and red on the right, those are in the same period or the same row. Everybody in orange is in the same period or the same row. So even though there are spaces in between, you always read the periodic table from left to right, even though there's spaces. So you start with hydrogen on period 1 and you end with francium in period 7. This time we're going to do oxygen, potassium, tin, tungsten, and radium. I gave you the chemical symbols for these ones. Go ahead and put me on pause, practice finding them, and find out what period they are in. Oxygen is in the second, potassium is in the fourth, tin is in the fifth, tungsten is in the sixth, and radium in the seventh. Okay, summary time. So what I would like you to do is describe how to find each of the following. So how do you find the group number for an element? How do you find the period number? How do you find the family name? And how do you figure out what state of matter it is? Now also with state of matter, if it's listed as blank or don't know, sometimes remember no is an answer. We don't know. So I'd like you to use aluminum for your summary and try to find those 4 different things for aluminum. All right, good luck, and I'll see you guys in class.